I do experience these attacks. Every day, I have dozens of attacks coming from these countries.
Are any of them true about your private life?
Sorry?
Are any of the attacks true?
No, nothing was true. But there are part of those who conveyed crazy rumors about my life and so on. They claimed that I was sexual, which is not a shame in itself. But I am married and I love my wife. So honestly, it's not pleasant for my wife and myself. But that's what they want to push. And they interfere.
Why do they want to push that rumor? French society doesn't care about these things that much. Why would they want to do that?
I think because they want to push a message that I'm a liar. I have a double life.
A few moments later.
I want to ask you, former President Trump, there was an FBI raid on his Mar-a-Lago estate. I'm sure you've read about it. Reports are that some of the material, some of the classified material that the FBI found was about you. I'm wondering if anybody has briefed you on this and if you have any idea what that information is.
I have no information about that. I will not say it's extremely pleasant to see this type of information. I try to be less paranoid each day, so I'm cool. I'm here.
Hello everyone, if you're a new viewer, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If this is your second, third, fourth time watching one of my videos and you are not yet subscribed, we already go together. Okay, make it official and hit that subscribe button. Today we have to talk about a little French man named Emmanuel Macron. Like many of you, I watched the Candace series, Becoming Brigitte, and I bought Xavier Poussard's book, and I too am fascinated by this saga. I did my own digging into Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte, and I came across some very interesting facts and theories that were not explained in Candace Owens' series, so I want to cover those for you guys in this video. This video focuses on Emmanuel Macron. My other video focuses on his wife, Brigitte Macron. So make sure to check that one out. It's a really good one. And I may do a third video where I focus on all of the PDF files that are in the sphere of the Macrons, but I will only do that video if there is a high demand for it. So if you want me to do that video, comment down below third video, and if enough of you are interested, then I will do that video. Now, this story of people questioning the true identity of Emmanuel Macron's wife is new to many people in the English-speaking world, but it has been circulating in France for many years now, and I'm kind of hurt that I never heard about this story before, but better late than never. And you know what? It's never going to happen to me again. You know why? Because I have been using longtime supporter of the channel, Ground News. Ground News is a platform that I trust, and you can check them out by scanning the QR code or by heading to ground.news/NCS for 40% off. Ground News is a website and app that gathers news from all around the world and all sides of the political spectrum in one place, which allows you to compare coverage and verify your information. For example, check out this story. EU leaders commit to working together after Trump signals that Europe must defend itself. Ground News provides 276 headlines about this story, with 40% of them left-leaning, 33% centrist, and 24% right-leaning. And just by comparing the headlines, we can see the difference in the reporting. For example, this headline from a left-leaning source: EU leaders commit to working together after Trump signals that Europe must defend itself. Or this right-leaning source: the EU wants to use war as an excuse for more debt. The left-leaning source uses language that paints a picture of the EU coming together at a time of urgency, whereas the right-leaning source is undermining the EU's true intentions. Every day, millions of events happen all around the world, and it's hard to keep up, so I use my Vantage subscription to create a custom news feed to see the topics that interest me. I simply go to my interests and select the topics that I want to appear in my feed. For example, entertainment, Canadian politics, US politics, international news, Emmanuel Macron. If there is a specific country, company, or public figure that you are interested in, you can add it to those interest lists, and all news related to that topic will appear in your feed. I've been working with Ground News for over a year now because I sincerely value their platform. They're not looking to persuade people's opinions. They present you with the information so that you can make your own decision, and I highly recommend that you check them out. I'm giving my viewers 40% off this unlimited access plan, which you can access by scanning the QR code or by going to ground.news/NCS. Subscribing not only supports my work, you're also supporting an independent platform working to make the media landscape more transparent. A special thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this video. As I mentioned in the intro, this video is about Emmanuel Macron, and on a side note, as a Canadian, I never really paid all that much attention to French politics in the past, except when we would all joke about Emmanuel Macron and Justin Trudeau secretly being gay because they always seem to just be too happy to see each other whenever they'd meet. And you know, Justin Trudeau is a little sweet, and no disrespect to Emmanuel Macron, but Emmanuel Macron has gay face. You know, stop. You know what I'm talking about. Don't get in the comment section and be all overly sensitive. You know it's true. He has gay face, okay? And this is not something that I'm making up. It's a thing. These two gay men have a YouTube channel called ASAP Science, and even they made a video about it.
Do you ever look at someone's face like mine and think, gay?
Obviously having a gaydar is a thing that people talk about, but can you tell just from looking at somebody's face? So in 2015, researchers started using morphometric software, which is basically a quantitative analysis of form or physical features. You know, like actually measuring distances and angles and then using math, and they found that gay men had shorter noses and larger foreheads compared to their straight counterparts.
See? Gay face. Emmanuel Macron has gay face. Trust the science, guys. Trust the science. Like, even one of Emmanuel Macron's old schoolmates named Jean-Baptiste de Froment said that Emmanuel Macron didn't give the impression of being interested in girls, so the possibility that he's in the closet is not all that surprising. However, this plot twist that he's already secretly married to a man, madness. His whole story is crazy, but let's just start from the beginning. Emmanuel Macron was born December 21st, 1977 in Amiens, France. And his parents have the exact types of professions you would expect to see when a Manchurian candidate is bred from birth. His father, Jean-Michel Macron, was a neuropsychiatrist, and his mother, Françoise Nogue, was a pediatrician. However, she then went on to become a medical advisor for the Social Security Office, a job where an important part of her duties was to give administrative support for gender transition, and many of her clients have praised her for her work. In her job, she granted subsidies for transition procedures and assisted with legally changing people's sex. That's a very interesting and convenient career path, especially considering that her son is allegedly married to a trans person. In addition to Emmanuel, they had two other children, Laurent Macron and Estelle Macron, who are both doctors. So as you can see, I showed a picture of Laurent Macron, Emmanuel's brother, but I couldn't find a picture of Estelle Macron. So we're just gonna have to imagine what she looked like, which is probably something like this. Bruh. Something that is very strange is that there are no known photos publicly available of Emmanuel Macron with his parents as a child, or even with his siblings as a child. Emmanuel grew up in the age of Polaroid photos, Kodak moments, and camcorders, especially camcorders, which were very popular back then, especially in middle class and upper class families. Like, you took videos at Christmas, birthdays, Easter, New Year's, like, you just for fun. Like, people took videos. They've not produced any videos or any photos of them together as a family when they were young, which is very weird. In 2016, his parents were asked about the lack of documentation regarding Emmanuel Macron's childhood, and their answer was that Emmanuel Macron was a replacement child conceived after the stillbirth of his sister. In summary, that was their response to that question. Now, I need to address the conspiracy before we move on. His parents haven't produced any pictures together with Emmanuel from his childhood. Now, we do see pictures of them together when he is a teenager, but not from his childhood. There's two possible explanations for this. The first being a theory that is floating around the internet that they are not actually his biological parents, or at least one of them isn't. Let me explain. Emmanuel Macron is currently married to Brigitte Macron, maiden name Brigitte Trogneux. However, the theory is that this person that he's married to is actually Jean-Michel Trogneux, not Brigitte. And Jean-Michel is a man who stole his sister's identity in the 80s and has been living under her name ever since. So, if we are assuming that this person is actually Jean-Michel Trogneux, well, that raises questions, because Jean-Michel Trogneux is on record for having fathered two children with a woman named Veronique Drew. The children are Valérie Trogneux and Jean-Jacques Trogneux. Here is a photo of Jean-Jacques Trogneux. This man shares a very obvious resemblance to Emmanuel Macron, and so people are floating the idea that Emmanuel Macron and Jean-Jacques are actually brothers. Well, half-brothers. Remember when I mentioned earlier that Emmanuel Macron's mother worked at the Social Security office as a medical advisor dealing with the administrative side of helping transgender people transition? The theory is that Jean-Michel Trogneux had an interest in transitioning, and so he goes to the Social Security office, he meets Francois Nogue, they really like each other, they have an affair, and a child comes out of that relationship, and that child is Emmanuel Macron. And 3 years later, Jean-Michel went on to marry Veronique and father 2 children with her. And the reason people are floating this theory is because Emmanuel Macron does resemble his brother, which he shares with Francois Nogue, plus he resembles Jean-Jacques. So the theory is that all 3 of these men are related. So, in that scenario, it would mean that Emmanuel Macron is married to his father. C'est dégueulasse. So Candace alluded to this in her series, and after reading Xavier Poussard's book and doing my own research, I gotta be honest, I don't believe it's true. I know. Look, it's salacious, it's drama, it's fun to speculate, and I love a good conspiracy theory, but I gotta be honest, I just don't think it's true. And I'll tell you why. In my Brigitte video, I go over this in more detail, so please check that video out. But to put it briefly, Emmanuel Macron was born in December of 1977, which would mean that Jean-Michel, aka Brigitte, would have to have met Francois Nogue at the Social Security office at least 9 months before that. In France, legally changing your sex was not possible in 1977. It did not become legal until 1992. So taking that into consideration, it is not possible that is how they met. It doesn't mean they didn't meet at the beach or in a bar or at the grocery store or something like that, but there's just no evidence of that. People have also floated the theory that Emmanuel Macron is secretly a Rothschild living under a fake identity because he does share a strong resemblance to the family. And they have been very influential in his career, pretty much his entire adult life. And Brigitte is very, very friendly with David de Rothschild, so people believe that he is a plant put in place by the Rothschilds to rule over France. People have speculated that Macron's real mother is Nellie Rothschild because he resembles her. While I agree that the Rothschilds' influence over Macron is undeniable, I don't believe he is a blood relative, but I do believe he is their puppet, and they have leverage over him because they know his wife's true identity. That is my theory. I think the real reason Emmanuel Macron's parents don't have pictures of them together when he was a child is because he spent his childhood with his grandparents. Emmanuel has stated that growing up he was closest with his grandmother Germaine, who he nicknamed Manette. According to witnesses who knew his grandmother, once she retired, she became a recluse and she seldom went outside. She would close the drapes and spend all of her time reading. And in her love for books, she would recommend books to Macron, authors such as André Gide and Michel Tournier, authors whose writings centered around pedophilia content. Who designed this woman? So Emmanuel Macron attended elementary school in Henryville where his aunt was a teacher, and then he went on to high school at La Providence where he met his wife Brigitte. When Emmanuel Macron was 14 years old, he met 39-year-old Brigitte, who at the time was Brigitte Ozier, and she was married to André Ozier and had 3 children. In my Brigitte video, I explained my theory on the true identity of Brigitte, so check that video out. The public was first told that Brigitte was Emmanuel Macron's French teacher and that they would meet in evening classes. And the media put out this quote from a former classmate. She was captivated by his writing skills. He wrote poems all the time and she read them in front of everyone. Well, wouldn't you like to know? It has since been established that she was never his French teacher, and that classmates' testimonial was fake. The second version of events was that Brigitte was in charge of an after-school theater program, and that was where she met Emmanuel Macron. And here is a video of Emmanuel Macron in a school play back in 1993. Brigitte has refused to reveal when the two first became intimate. Quote, "Nobody will ever know at what moment our story became a love story. That belongs to us. That is our secret." Or, Maybe she doesn't want to say because she doesn't want to get arrested. Brigitte Macron's French Wikipedia page acknowledges that their relationship is criminal under Article 227-227 of the Penal Code. But of course, she's never been prosecuted for this crime. However, there is still time. According to French law, a child who is a victim of statutory has until they are 48 years old to file charges. And in December of this year, December of 2025, Emmanuel Macron will turn 48. So there's still time. There's still time. Like, I don't know, it just really bothers me how the media always tries to downplay the criminality of the origins of their relationship.
Now, Brigitte Macron was his teacher at a school. She was 40, he was 15, and they struck up a romance. I'm tempted to say only in France, but certainly in France that is legal.
It was very much illegal. It was reported in a French publication called Le Monde that when his parents became aware of this relationship during the 11th grade, they sent his ass all the way to Paris, 2 hours away from where he had met Brigitte Macron. That is how the story was told initially. However, his parents would later go on to say that it was always in the plan to send his ass to Paris, 2 hours away from where he first met Brigitte. Emmanuel's grandmother found him an apartment in Paris, and Brigitte says the relationship became even more passionate during this time when Emmanuel was 17 years old. She says that he declared to her that he was going to marry her one day. Emmanuel went on to graduate from high school and then complete a master's degree in public affairs at Sciences Po, which is a prestigious university in France. It was at Sciences Po where he would go on to make connections with many wealthy and powerful people, many of whom have been tied to PDF activities and actually now work in his administration. Macron had the ambition of attending ENA, which is a prestigious French national school designed to train senior civil servants for the French government. Many of the students who study there go on to be high-level politicians in France. And to gain admission to this school, the applicant needs to pass an entrance exam. Joseph Zime, a man who would go on to become the communications director under President Macron, was a classmate of Macron, and he was present during Emmanuel Macron's entrance exam into ENA. According to Joseph, in 2002, during the entrance exam, the professor asked Emmanuel a question about the Turkish influence in Central Asia. Macron responded by saying, quote, "I'm sorry, I'm not quite see the point. Do you have another question?" So he didn't answer the question. And Emmanuel still managed to gain entrance to ENA. And at ENA, he was given preferential treatment. Former classmates say he was dumb as a doorknob, but he was still given academic achievement awards and was listed as at the top of the ranks of his class despite being a moron, according to his classmates. This decision infuriated his classmates that he was put at the top rankings, and so the rankings list was cancelled. After graduating from ENA, he was recruited to work at Rothschild & Co., where he was the youngest managing partner in the history of the bank, and he gained a reputation for being incompetent. In 2006, Brigitte Macron filed for divorce from André Ozier, and in 2007, Brigitte and Emmanuel got married. Brigitte wore an unusual wedding dress. It was very short, and their cake topper looked like Baphomet horns. In the years following his wedding, despite Emmanuel's supposed incompetence, in 2012, David de Rothschild used his power and influence to get Emmanuel Macron a position as the Deputy Secretary General under the French president at the time, François Hollande. At this time, in 2012, the press began to speak about Emmanuel and Brigitte's relationship. The goal was to get people familiar with Emmanuel Macron. David de Rothschild felt Emmanuel needed an even more high-powered position, and so in 2014, he had François Hollande appoint Emmanuel as the Minister of Economy and Finance. In 2016, Emmanuel announces his run for president, and this is when the myth and the legend of Emmanuel Macron starts to take shape. During Emmanuel Macron's presidential run back in 2016, there were rumors that Emmanuel Macron was gay and that his wife was his cover. However, at the time, Emmanuel Macron was happy to deny rumors of being gay, mostly because it drew attention away from his suspicious relationship with Brigitte. But in 2019, an adult film star posted several videos to YouTube claiming that he was hired to be a performer at a private party for the elites. And during this party, he claims that he breached Emmanuel Macron. Now, what is interesting about this is that that particular guy had made several videos saying that he was intimate with Emmanuel Macron. The video went viral, a lot of people saw it, and they've never sued. Meanwhile, the journalist who accused Brigitte Macron of being a man, she went after them and sued for breach of privacy.
That's suspicious.
That is all I have for this video. If you liked this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. If you are not yet subscribed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. A special thanks to all of you who are supporting me on Patreon. Another way you can support my channel is to check out the sponsor of today's video, Ground News. If you like this video and you would like to see the Brigitte video or another one like it, I will have 2 more videos for you in the end cards. I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.